What does this button do show? It is episode number 63, and isn't that exciting? We're having a great time doing this. Okay, it is an educational show about smartphones and tablets with us, Geeks on Tour.
And that's us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jim. Together here with my wife, Chris, we are Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And
we know it.
Do you have questions about your Android phone or your iPad tablet? And how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we think the best way to learn is a little bit at a time on a regular basis. So that's why we do this show, so that we can learn. Our website, geeksontour.com, has collection of all of our content, all of our tutorial videos on everything we teach.
Okay, and visit our website there. That'd be great. So where are we now, Chris?
We're at home, I guess. Home is normally on the road, but we also now have a townhouse in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that's where we are.
Cool. So today's show, we'll have a tip of the day, changing wallpaper this week. The beginner's lesson will be connecting to the internet, Wi-Fi and cellular, the two major ways of connecting. Our app of the week is Windfinder, thanks to our buddy Jimmy Lyon for suggesting that. And if you have questions, ask those in the comments. We'll try and get to the answers here live while we're on the air. The show is recorded on YouTube on our Geeks on Tour channel, and you can always find links on the geeksontour.com/weekly show. So, who are Geeks on Tour?
In case you're tuning in for the first time, please go visit our website, geeksontour.com. It's just the two of us. This is our business. We are geeks. We tour the country all the time. And if you click on that little video of our faces, you'll learn a lot more.
Okay, cool. Quick tip. You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
So changing wallpaper.
Yeah, right.
And that means the background of your phone. It's so much fun to have your pictures showing up as your background. And you can have a different background. Notice this is my lock screen. When I unlock it, I get a different picture. So you can have more than one. I've recently been changing the picture like every few days because I have so many cool pictures of our visit to Cuba.
Don't we, though?
So this one is a picture of the cathedral in downtown Havana. Now, if I wanted to change that, there's a couple different ways, but on almost every Android device, it'll work if you go into settings. So I drag down from the top and tap the little gear that means settings. And there's a setting for wallpaper. And here's where you can tell it lock screen, home screen, or home and lock screen. So I am just going to say home screen. And then I want to get a picture from my gallery. And there's all my pictures. And I just got to find one. Ooh, I really like that one. Yeah. That was such a pretty spot. And it tells you where it's going to take the picture from when you're in vertical or when you're in horizontal. And you can move that around. Yeah, I think I like it right there. And you tap save.
Excellent.
And I will now have a new wallpaper. When it stops spinning, there we go. I go home, and now I have that picture as my background.
That does look nice, doesn't it?
Yeah. And now for the iPhone, believe it or not, it's the exact same thing.
That hardly ever happens.
It's getting more and more so.
Yeah.
It's just that the settings is in a slightly different place. So you have tap settings, and there's a setting for wallpaper. Tap wallpaper, choose a new wallpaper, and I don't want one of their standard ones. I want one from the camera. Now this is Jim's. So let's see, what do I think he would like?
This is my iPhone, by the way, right?
And actually, I want something that's dark up at the top for purposes of other things today. So well, it could be, how about the old car?
I like old cars.
Yeah.
There were so many over there in Cuba.
The old car in Cuba. And now it's this still in perspective thing. If you have perspective, can you see how the picture kind of moves a little bit?
That's hard to see in that one. It works a little bit better, I think, if it's a horizontal picture. Or is that? It does move a little bit. It looks cool.
But if you don't like the movement, you just tap still. And I'm just going to set the home screen.
Okay.
And that's it. That's all right. Now, for the rest of the exercise, I need that text at the top to show up really good. So, I'm going to pick another one. And set home screen.
Yeah, some other choices there too, right?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of other choices. Okay.
But this is just setting the background.
But that's just letting you know how to do it. And you can be reminded of your pretty pictures all the time.
That's great.
I like that.
Okay. Well, we do invite you and remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. They make changes all the time, so we're not sure what they're doing over there. But if you subscribe, you should be getting notifications of our shows and the other videos that we put up there.
I see a couple people saying hello and Merry Christmas. So yes, hello back at you, Vicky, Jolyn, and Olive. I know that's not your name.
Bill.
Bob. Bill.
Bill. Bob.
Anyway.
I forget. I'm sorry.
Hello, and Merry Christmas to you all too. And Bill, our newly retired friend. And David Cross, our bestest buddy. Okay. Cool. So I am ready.
And Ron. Cool.
And Catherine. Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Wow. Old home week here. All right.
Okay.
Beginner's lesson. How to connect to the internet using Wi-Fi and cellular mobile data.
Yep. So what's the point? The point is that these things aren't much good unless you have an internet connection. Actually, they can do a few things, but the purpose of them is to have an internet connection.
Yeah, so, we were really struggling with the things they can do without an internet connection over in Cuba.
Over in Cuba, we had no internet connection, even though they had cell towers. That applies to these first two bullet points here. They had cell towers, and if we had purchased a local company SIM card, we could have connected to their cell towers, but we would only have been able to use them for voice or text. 1G and 2G. They did not have internet, no data. There's different words for this. So without an internet/data connection, you can still make phone calls, you can do text messages, and you can use apps that don't need any connection. Your camera still works. You can do Kindle book readers and a bunch of other things. But with an internet connection, that's when you can do email, you can check the weather or do any kind of Google web search. You can use Facebook, streaming music and video calls, and thousands of more things. So having an internet connection is important. Now, if you're saying, well, what do you mean internet connection? I don't see anything on my settings called internet connection. No, it's called either a data connection or a mobile connection. Okay. So there's two sources for an internet connection. It can either be coming from a cell tower, cellular, also known as mobile data, or it can be coming from Wi-Fi, which is meaning there's a router probably in the room. So cellular or Wi-Fi, two different sources. Which is better and what are the differences? The main difference is that a cell tower is within range if it, it can be almost 30 miles away and still be within range.
Mm-hmm.
A router, a Wi-Fi means you are connecting to a router, also known as a local area network.
Or a hotspot.
And usually that's in the same room with
Well, hopefully it is. Now you put 100 feet there. Now, under certain circumstances, especially, remember these are two-way radios and radio waves propagate certain ways. If you have unobstructed line of sight, you will have a much better connection and it can go a lot farther. The thing about the two-way radio part of it is your cell phone or your tablet or your computer is connecting to a local area network access point, and it has to be strong enough to have a two-way conversation. So a better radio, a better antenna will give you a better connection. It can go a long way.
Yeah, you say if it has unobstructed line of sight, I could have my smartphone at one end of a football field, you could have a router at the other, and I could connect?
Possibly.
I'd say that would be pretty unlikely.
Yeah, especially, small phones that have small antennas and they don't have very powerful radios. You can put in something to extend that, and we'll talk about that in a bit.
But realize it's also not just connecting to a router, it's connecting to a router that is in turn connected to the internet.
That's the key point with Wi-Fi hotspots, is that you are not connecting directly to the internet. You're connecting to a local area network that is just a router, typically. Sometimes it's in an RV park, sometimes it's in a home, in an office, whatever. There are better routers too. We just got a new router we talked about a couple of episodes ago. And that is a Google router, and it's the highest powered router, and it's a dual band, and it seems to be working really well in our place. So I highly recommend it. Okay?
Okay. So factors for choosing which one to use, Wi-Fi or cellular. First is cost. Cellular data, you are paying Verizon or T-Mobile or Sprint, and you need to know your plan. If your plan has small amounts that you're allowed and you're paying big bucks, then you're going to want to use Wi-Fi anytime possible. Wi-Fi is usually free and usually unlimited, but not always. The second thing is availability. Wi-Fi, there might not be a Wi-Fi hotspot anywhere near you. If you can connect to a cell tower, then that's your only way to go, and vice versa. Sometimes there is no cell tower for your company within range, and you can find a Wi-Fi hotspot somewhere. So cost and availability are the two absolute. And then there's performance. Sometimes one will be a lot faster than the other. So you need to know just how to check that and make your choice.
Yeah, a lot of places our cellular connection for data is screaming fast, and local Wi-Fi may not be so fast. So you have to test it, make sure that what you have is, or what you're using is the best connection under the whatever circumstances. Okay?
Okay. So now I'm just going to do a demo. Remember, this is a beginner's lesson. We're just going to show you what is the cellular, how to turn it on and off, what is a Wi-Fi, how to turn it on and off, and then the fact that you can turn both off using airplane mode. And one last thing is there can be an extra step for public Wi-Fi.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to start actually with this tablet, because this tablet is a Wi-Fi only tablet. So what's that mean? This tablet we paid just over $100 for it.
Yeah,
Might have even been under $100.
It's right around $100, and it's probably a little less now. These things are coming down.
And that is for Wi-Fi only. Now, if we had wanted a tablet that had the ability to connect to a cell tower, it would have been another $100 purchase price,
right?
Plus at least $30 a month for the service. So lots of times you buy tablets that are Wi-Fi only. So I want to show you that without any kind of connection, we're not going to be able to get to go anywhere. So a Google search, if I try to do a Google search, let's say I want to check the weather. It's going to tell me you're not connected to the internet.
Something's wrong.
So I say, okay, I need to get onto a Wi-Fi hotspot then. The way you do that is open up your settings. There's Wi-Fi shortcut right there, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I want to go to the complete settings, and you might have different categories of settings. Connections is where we're going to find Wi-Fi. So you need to turn it on. When you turn Wi-Fi on, so that's just turning on a radio. There's actually a radio chip inside these devices that is set to the Wi-Fi frequency. Now I see the possible hotspots there are to connect to. Since we are at home, we have our own hotspot here under Geeks, and it is secure. So I'm going to need to tell it what the password is. And then connect.
Now this Wi-Fi hotspot is connected to a very fast internet connection. So that's what we're doing our show on. Sometimes it's better than other times, but we're usually getting some pretty good speeds.
Yeah, we have fiber here. So now if I go to a Google search and I say, tell me about the weather, boom, it gets right there because I have an internet connection. Now, how can I tell just by looking at the screen that I have an internet connection? It's this icon.
Are you just trying to rub in the beautiful weather here? It does say cloudy. It's cloudy.
Yeah. Those vertical radio waves is the symbol for Wi-Fi. Get that a little closer there.
Yeah, it looks better.
Yeah, so that is telling me that I do have an active Wi-Fi connection on this device right now. All right. Now, once I have connected the first time, now I can use the shortcut. If I turn off Wi-Fi, now I would no longer have a connection to the internet, and I prove it with my little Google. If I want to connect, all I have to do is turn on Wi-Fi. Since it can see the hotspot that it has connected to before, it automatically connects to it again and it remembers the password. So that's handy, but I want you to know how you can remove that if you want to. Let's say you go to McDonald's or Starbucks. You don't want it to automatically connect every time you go into a McDonald's or Starbucks. So what you do then is you tell it to forget. So I go into the Wi-Fi, I tap on the network, and I tap forget. That means that the next time it's available, it will not automatically connect. You have to manually do it.
And you'll have to put in your password again. I have that forget thing down really, really well. And it seems to be getting better every day.
Okay, so that's a Wi-Fi only tablet. My only choice there is Wi-Fi. Now, here's my phone. Phones have to have a cellular connection because that's how they make phone calls. And then the data connection is an option. Notice up here, and I'll put that up closer too, I have the little symbol for the three vertical bars there are telling me the signal strength to the cell tower. The 4G is telling me that I am connected to a data signal, 4G LTE. I mean, also, it's also known as LTE, and it puts it there. So what if I wanted to turn that off? Let's say that you have a very limited data plan through your cell company. I do know some people who just are paying for 250 megabytes a month, which is like nothing.
We would not be able
so
to do that.
we could go through that in 10 minutes. So they want to make sure that their phone is not using that. The way you turn it off is you go into settings and more networks on mine. You're looking for mobile networks. Sometimes they're called cellular networks. Sometimes it's called mobile networks. Same thing. Under mobile networks, mobile data, just uncheck that. Video calls will not work. You will not be able to use internet, email, or other apps that need a data connection unless you connect to Wi-Fi. So turn it off. Yes, I really want to do that. And notice that the 4G symbol has gone away. The 3 bars are still there because I could still make phone calls. This is just the internet, the data that's been turned off. And once again, just to prove it, I'm just going to do a Google search for weather. And it says you're not connected to the internet. So I'm going to turn Wi-Fi on this one. And this one, I'm pretty sure I have let it remember. So you turn it on. And then as it scans and looks at the Wi-Fi hotspots available, it recognizes that first one.
And it connected.
Yeah, it connected automatically because I hadn't told it to forget it. Now I'm curious, how fast is that? So I'm going to go to speed test. I have an app here for speed test. I think we've done this one in some, we use the one called Ookla speed test.
We certainly use it all the time.
Yeah, and begin test.
So you're connected to the Wi-Fi here.
I'm connected to Wi-Fi.
Wow, look at that speed.
Isn't that pretty?
It is pretty.
So that's the Wi-Fi. And yeah, you can check and say, hey, that's fine. And it's now, is this Wi-Fi free?
Is the Wi-Fi free?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can say the Wi-Fi part of it is free. We are paying for the internet connection that the Wi-Fi is connected to.
Right. We are. Yeah. I'm saying, we do get a monthly bill from the telephone company or the cable company or whatever it is here.
Right.
Actually, I think it's included in our condo association fees, but you're paying for it, but it is unlimited. So we don't have to count it.
Right. We can do Netflix streaming and these shows.
But sometimes you might, especially if you're in an RV, but even not, if you're off on a business trip or something, you might be using a device like this, like a MiFi that comes from Verizon as your Wi-Fi
hotspot.
But it's still a data connection to Verizon, so it's not
to connect
free
using your cellular data plan, however much that was. This particular one was 5 gigabytes per month for
$50.
$50.
Yeah, so we don't use that anymore.
But we could.
Okay.
We would have to turn it back on.
All right. So looking at my symbols at the top of the screen.
Hang on just a second.
Okay.
Let me get over there. Got it.
You should now be able to look at, just by looking at the symbols, and see that I'm using Wi-Fi for any internet or data connection because the 4G is not there. I'm going to turn 4G back on. So that's settings, more networks, and mobile networks, and mobile data. Okay. So now the question, so now I have both 4G and Wi-Fi. Which one is being used?
Oh, I think if you don't specify and you are connected to Wi-Fi and it's a good connection, you're going to be using the Wi-Fi data before your cellular data.
And that used to be an absolute. You know, if you had Wi-Fi on, it would be used, period. So you didn't have to worry about using up your cellular when you didn't want to. But things keep changing. Things keep changing. On my Android, for example, there's a setting, I'll show you in a second, that will use both at the same time.
Let's take a look at that.
So that's pretty, I've never used it. I haven't felt the need to, not with the kind of speeds that we get. So, but it is there. Under the More Networks, there's this thing called Download Booster. Download large files over 30 megabytes faster using Wi-Fi and LTE networks at the same time.
Sometimes that's called binding networks.
No, or crossing the streams. Don't cross the streams. Downloading via LTE may result in additional charges depending on your payment. So that's kind of
Typical.
different. Yeah. So now I want to turn off Wi-Fi, and I can just do it with the shortcut and do a speed test. And that will show us the speed of the cellular, of the data. And test again. Still very, very good. This is the Verizon here is excellent.
Yeah, there's a tower not too far from the place here.
Yeah.
We can see it when we go outside.
So that's download and upload. And what I want you to see is in the listing of results, how do we know which one? Yeah, take a look at these results. It's showing us which ones were testing a cellular connection and which ones were testing Wi-Fi. So there's the different symbols. Yeah, so I just tested cellular, and that's what's showing up at the top. And the Wi-Fi has a different symbol.
Cool.
So that's it. How you have your choice between cellular or Wi-Fi, and it's up to you which one you use. Now for the Apple, and basically the same thing.
All right.
So we can look at the top line here, the status bar, and see that this one is connected to T-Mobile LTE. So that means it is for data. And let's see a speed test on this. And it's here somewhere. Do you see it? I know. Oh, there it is. Speed test. And begin test.
And remind us, what connection are we on here?
We are on T-Mobile cellular data connection.
Okay. Not as fast.
Not bad at all, but nowhere near as fast as we had with
Now these are
Verizon.
Perfectly acceptable speeds.
Oh yeah,
too.
Yeah.
I say that anything around a meg is going to be usable, but the more the better. And if you're trying to do any streaming, you're going to start getting buffering if you're less than 2 download.
Okay. But let's say that once again you just have a 250 megabyte plan with T-Mobile and you don't want to use it. So you can't swipe down from the top on Apple. Did you know that? The settings is this separate icon right here. So I go into settings, and you can go to your cellular. Yeah, it's just up at the top. It's just right there, cellular, and turn it off. So now I cannot do a Google search. I just always like to, don't want you to have to take my word for it. Oops. ATHER. You are not connected to the internet. Okay. So I want Wi-Fi. Settings. And back out to the top. Wi-Fi. Turn it on. This one, it has remembered. Now, it works just the same on Apple. If you want it to forget, you can tap on it and tap forget this network. So they are all really getting very similar. Now, what if you wanted to turn off all your connections? You want to go dark. That's what airplane mode does. So each of them individually you can turn on off. If you go into airplane mode, and that's just a little airplane. Now look up at the top and we see no Wi-Fi symbol, no 4G LTE symbol. We just see an airplane symbol. That means that they have both been turned off. One extra thing to know on the Apple, I'm going to turn off airplane mode, and notice that Wi-Fi came right back. So I now have both Wi-Fi and cellular, and in the settings for cellular, there's this, and if I turn it on, there's this interesting setting all the way at the bottom on the Apple called Wi-Fi Assist. If that's on, it means that it will automatically use cellular data when Wi-Fi connectivity is poor.
That can be dangerous if you're on a limited, metered cellular connection, right?
Right. Right. So that's huge. If you do not want that on unless you have a large cell data plan.
Okay, so that's on the Apple, and it's underneath settings and cellular.
Settings and cellular, and all the way down at the bottom.
Okay.
That's what was kind of weird.
All right.
Okay, and then the last thing that we want to show you is what if you're connecting to a public Wi-Fi hotspot? There's one extra step, and we have a video on that. Okay. So I took my phone to McDonald's the other day just to have this. I tapped on settings.
No, it wasn't just to have this. We went for breakfast.
Settings and then Wi-Fi. And when you turn it on, you'll see the listing of possible Wi-Fi. And there's McDonald's free Wi-Fi. Now, I do not want the AT&T Wi-Fi. I do not want the other open. I want the McDonald's free Wi-Fi. We'll talk more about that in a second. And you connect. But just because you're connected doesn't mean that you're on the internet yet.
Right, you're connecting to the access point.
You need to find this button because they have to have you agree to the terms of service. So there's some other button. There's either a password or a login or a get connected.
And it'll change from venue to venue. So a McDonald's, even other McDonald's might be different from the one you're in.
And if you miss that button, you can get it back by opening up a browser. So you miss that button, you try to get your email, you're not getting your email, something's wrong. Open a browser and it will redirect you to the button to connect to that public Wi-Fi hotspot.
Cool.
All right, That's it.
Questions. Let's see what we have over here. Robin says we have
a sweet Wi-Fi connection. Don't you know it? That's why we like doing our show from this location.
And Jalen was having problems with her stuff, her home network, so she reconnected using her cellular Wi-Fi hotspot. But I know for a fact that she has a Verizon Unlimited data plan too.
And we will be covering that next week.
Okay.
But there were a couple questions that were there at the beginning before we even started the show that I thought were things we should have.
All right.
Yeah, that one.
Why can't I connect to Wi-Fi in most campgrounds on my Galaxy 6S cell phone and not on my iPad mini? Is there a better antenna on my cell phone? And that's true at home too for him. So what do you think?
Well, I think he knows a lot more than he thinks he knows, because yes, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Generally, the iPhones are not known for having really good Wi-Fi radios.
Powerful radios and good antennas. Remember, it's just a small package to have an antenna. They do a pretty good job, but a lot of, I would say, Samsungs are probably better. I know my Nexus 6, which is a Motorola,
has the best radio.
Really has. I can get signal and see extra signals that Chris can never even see, even on her Samsung.
Right. But there have been times when Jim and I have been in a Wi-Fi hotspot with the same make and model phone. And he's been able to connect and I haven't.
Why is that?
So yes, it has to do with the radio inside. Now, is there anything you can do?
There are, there are some boosters that you can get, Wi-Fi boosters, just like there are cellular amplifiers and antennas, external antennas that you can get for your cellular connection.
That's not something that you can plug into your phone, right?
No, there's no
like with a computer.
You can't do that.
Like with a computer, we tell people to buy a Wi-Fi booster and plug it into the USB port. There's nothing like that for cell phones.
No, not at all. So you have to have some kind of repeater. A repeater like our Wi-Fi Ranger router that we have in our motorhome, or our Hutu that we can use as we travel. So if it can see the signal, you can configure it. You connect to the Hutu, which I like to do anyway because it gives us our own network, private network, and it connects in turn to somebody else's Wi-Fi, which in turn connects to the internet.
However, so this is the Hutu. We covered it in episode 55. It will connect to a wireless signal and then make its own Wi-Fi.
It'll even connect to a wired signal using an Ethernet connection. We did that when we were at the Spring Hill Estates.
At the hotel.
The suites, because it has a Ethernet connection. They had an Ethernet cable, kind of unusual, but you find them around. So this is a cool tool to have, and it does a lot of other things too.
So without a repeater, what I was wondering, I wonder if possibly turning off the cellular would give the Wi-Fi radio any more power.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
It'd be worth a try.
Yeah, it can't hurt to try.
Or rebooting.
Give it a try and let us know how you make out.
Rebooting always helps.
Can't hurt a thing. Okay. Cool.
Any other questions?
I don't think there are any new ones.
Yeah, those were all
leave your comments. I'm looking. Oh, somebody asked, why can't... No. Oh, can you offer a program for campground owners? I used to help a company that set up Wi-Fi in RV parks. They were called Coach Connect. They've sold out long time ago. Yeah, there are some things out there, but gosh, there are so many challenges trying to put Wi-Fi in an RV park, especially, and make it available to the individual sites. It was never designed. Wi-Fi was never designed to be that, cover that kind of, to have that kind of coverage. Cellular was designed to do that, although now they're starting to do some things, mesh networks that work a little bit better. So those are the things that I would like to see happen.
Okay.
All right, Geeks on Tour. We do invite you to like us on Facebook. That's where we save, or all of these episodes are saved, so you can check those things out. App of the week, Windfinder. Windfinder is an app that's available on the Google Play Store or at the App Store for the Apple. And it's an app that works on your iOS or your Android, or it has a web-based part 2. And for wind waves, weather, we like to keep track of the weather because we like to paddle our kayaks out in the ocean. We know people who like to go fishing, and there are all kinds of information out there for doing that. So it's accurate forecasts. It's another way that you can get things. They have a free app for both sides, and they have a pro version that just doesn't give you a bunch of ads. I think that's nice. Here are a couple of screenshots there. Windfinder, that's on an Android, but it looks the same. I loaded it on our iPad too, which is nice because it has a bigger screen, but it'll give you down to the minute information. So check it out. It is called Windfinder, and it is our app of the week. It's time. Did you learn something? Give 2 factors for choosing Wi-Fi or cellular.
The 2 main factors are cost and availability. If Wi-Fi is available and cellular isn't, there's your choice.
Perfect. And what's the range of a typical Wi-Fi hotspot?
I say 100 feet, a practical
I like that. If you get over that, then you're lucky. If you can put repeaters or something like that in there, have a better antenna, better radio. If you have a computer, if you have a mobile device, which is what we talk about most here, you need some kind of a repeater in order to get that. So how can you be sure your cellular data is not being used for your internet connection?
Well, I used to say, if you have Wi-Fi connected to a Wi-Fi hotspot, then you can rest assured that you're not using your cellular data. But those things are changing, so you can turn it off. Cellular data, turn it off.
True or false? Wi-Fi is always free.
False.
Yeah, there are some pay-for portals that you have to actually give them a credit card before you can even connect to some Wi-Fi hotspots.
It cost us $5 an hour in Cuba,
Havana. And it worked pretty good, though.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. All right. Connecting to a Wi-Fi hotspot requires at least 2 steps. Turn Wi-Fi on, connect to a named hotspot. And what is the possible 3rd step?
You might have to enter a password, or even if it says there's no password required, it's free and open, you might have to click a button to approve the terms of service.
Okay. And if your device is connecting automatically to a remembered Wi-Fi hotspot, how do you stop it?
You just tap on the Wi-Fi hotspot and choose the button that says forget.
That's so easy for me to do. Okay, Chris, what's the web page that lists all of our weekly shows?
geeksontour.com, and the menu item is weekly show.
And the web page that lists all of our recent newsletters.
geeksontour.com, and it's under blogs and articles, newsletters.
And benefits. What benefits do you get by joining Geeks on Tour?
Access to all of our tutorial videos, and you get to ask questions on anything in our Q&A forum, and the show notes of these shows.
Okay. We do invite you to become a member. Remember to go to our website, geeksontour.com, and click on
Join Now.
Join
Become a
Now.
member. It's just $68 for 1 year.
Such a
Next
deal.
week, we're going to kind of continue this topic. So if you have questions that we didn't answer today, go ahead and leave them, and we'll cover them next week. And specifically, we're going to talk about using your phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot for your other devices.
Okay. So
that'll be the weekend after Christmas, Sunday after Christmas.
well, we hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. And we'll see you next week on What Does This Button Do? I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next time.
Keep pushing those buttons and figure out, what does this button do? How about this one?
Don't touch that